Millions in Syria and Iraq are facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up.
The Euphrates River, which rises in Turkey and runs through Syria and Iraq, was a significant water source more than 10 millennia ago. As the water levels drop, there are some discoveries being made that are quite interesting. One of the most astounding things that scientists have recently discovered is a cave beneath the Euphrates. And maybe even more important are the eerie noises that emanate from these caves. Come discover the mysteries of the Euphrates River with us as we explore this amazing narrative of mystery and history, and possibly even a warning for future generations. The terrifying sounds. A terrifying secret that has not yet been discovered by humans might be hidden in the caves found in the Euphrates. These caves differ from other common caves in terms of their unique shapes. This uniqueness raises the question of whether they were constructed by people or whether they are just a work of nature. The caves, apparently, look like prison bars, making them appear as if they were designed to be used as prison cells. On top of the strange shapes of these caves, terrifying sounds from the ground have been recorded by ordinary people and even archaeologists. Sounds of groaning and agony that would give one nightmares and chills are how most people described it. Besides the groans and growls recorded by people, others claim to have heard sounds like those of moving chains beneath the earth. These claims have been justified by religious organizations as the fulfillment of a biblical prophecy. With this said, the main concern becomes whether the fallen angels will soon come out and destroy 1/3 of the world's population if the Euphrates River is actually the fulfillment of the prophecy. This secret leaves many in intense fear and panic. The Tomb of King Gilgamesh. The Tomb of King Gilgamesh is another secret beneath the waters of the Euphrates River. The secret dates back to the legend of a ruler from the ancient city of Uruk, King Gilgamesh. The epic of King Gilgamesh is an ancient masterpiece penned 2,000 years before the birth of Jesus Christ. The giant King Gilgamesh, who is believed to be a towering 17 feet tall, ruled over the land of Uruk, which is present-day Iraq. The story becomes even more interesting as, back in 2003, a group of German archaeologists and explorers led by Jörg Fassbinder, who was considered very daring, found an ancient tomb believed to belong to giants who lived on Earth centuries ago, and in it, they found the remains of huge giants, which, after they were sent for carbon dating and testing, a question now arises whether this place could be the final resting place of the 17-foot-tall King Gilgamesh of Uruk. They, however, proved that the place could possibly have been the tomb of the mighty King Gilgamesh himself. The question you may be asking yourself is whether all this is true. The originality of the footage remains questionable, but this has not stopped the interest and controversy surrounding the discovery. A demigod and a powerful ruler who waged many wars and acted as a tyrant. That is how King Gilgamesh is portrayed in the Epic of Gilgamesh. The gods sent a wild man named Enkidu to challenge King Gilgamesh after they heard the cries of his people. This action by the gods was a curious twist for Gilgamesh. The duel between Gilgamesh and Enkidu lasted for a long time, creating a monumental history. After tragedy struck and Enkidu was no longer alive, King Gilgamesh was left grieving, and this even fueled him to become a philosopher. The passing of his friend made him wonder what the meaning of life was and what the value of human accomplishments was. The sad event of Enkidu's death made him look into the meaning of life and perhaps look into a way of defeating death itself. For many years, the story of Gilgamesh was believed to be a mere literary concept about an ancient king who was more fictitious than factual. But the discovery of Fassbinder disapproved of this. The group of explorers found a vast expanse of land and property that matched the descriptions discovered in the Epic of Gilgamesh. So far, we have seen 2 discoveries that have been found under. However, it is clear that these are not yet enough to make the cave under the Euphrates River be sealed up. So what exactly led to it being sealed? Keep watching to find out. The Islamic prophecy. Many people consider the drying of the Euphrates as a fulfillment of the prophecies. In Islamic tradition, there is a prophecy that promises the drying up of the Euphrates River someday. According to tradition, mysteries such as a gold mountain hidden under the waters will be revealed. The prophecy is based on many hadiths given to the Prophet Muhammad and passed down from generation to generation in Islamic teachings. The prophecy of the appearance of the Golden Mountain is considered a representation of an unforeseen increase in wealth. This thought piques our interest in knowing what lies under the surface of this river. Before we get consumed by the riches of the Golden Mountain, let's examine the potential challenges that might come with the discovery of such vast wealth. Historically, discovering vast wealth brought about war, power disputes, and social unrest. The sudden availability of large gold reserves can have significant geopolitical ramifications, including the potential to destabilize established economic institutions and power structures, strain international relations, and possibly spark conflict. Bible's prophecy. Christians also have their version of prophecy concerning the drying of the Euphrates River. The book of Revelation reveals a prophecy on the Euphrates River that will happen during the end times. Revelation 6:12 states that the sixth angel will pour forth his vial on the great river, causing its waters to dry up and opening the way for the approach of the kings of the east. The prophecy shares similarities with recent events in the Euphrates River, which has been drying up unexpectedly. Revelation 9:13-15 also states that a dreadful aspect emerged from the dried-up riverbed. It talks of the release of 4 angels confined to the huge Euphrates River, who will destroy 1/3 of all people on earth during the end times. The 4 angels were previously imprisoned in shackles beneath the river, and once it dries up, they will be free from their shackles and start to cause havoc in the world upon their release during the apocalypse. For those who do not practice the Christian faith, this may appear as a religious annotation. However, it is important to note that there have been reports of strange activities taking place on the banks of the river, therefore raising discussions and interpretations of these biblical texts. Whether you consider these prophecies true or false, archaeological discoveries beneath the Euphrates River are mysterious entities intertwined with the beliefs of many worldwide. Figurines and ritual objects. The religious items and ceremonial constructions hidden within the Cave of Secrets disclose the beliefs, stories, and rituals of the Zakiku people. These astounding findings helped scholars comprehend the cosmological worldviews of the worshipped deities and the spiritual behaviors associated with those beliefs. For the Zakiku people, the Euphrates River held immense religious and symbolic value in addition to its utilitarian relevance. In ancient societies, rivers were revered as holy bodies that symbolized spiritual significance and fertility. The rivers that flowed and fed the crops and soil were thought to be expressions of cosmic energy and divine energies, creating a web of spiritual and mythical connections. The cave's close proximity to the river has led to speculation that it has a function in religious ceremonies and events associated with the Euphrates. It was believed that caves were innate portals to the divine domain, brimming with spiritual energy and enabling communication with ancestors and otherworldly forces. Study teams searched ancient times for proof of religious artifacts, such as figurines, ritual artifacts, or offerings, which could indicate the significance of the cave in religious rites. The secret to deciphering the various religious beliefs, ceremonies, and myths connected to the Euphrates River lies in the cave walls' inscriptions, symbols, and pictorial representations. Given the supernatural abilities of the river, it's possible that people seeking spiritual guidance, healing, or paranormal intervention used the cave as a pilgrimage or ceremonial location. Within its chambers, there could have been prayers, offerings, and ceremonial acts like purification ceremonies. The natural acoustics and echoes of the cave heighten the ritualistic experience by adding to its mystique. It's possible that the adoration of the Euphrates River by the Zakiku people was equivalent to Hindus' veneration of the Ganga River. The findings in the cave keep getting interesting, and with that same spirit, they keep getting better. And believe me, very soon you will understand why the cave had to be sealed up. So keep watching to find out. The ancient city. Relics from many historical eras, including Sumerian, Assyrian, Greek, Byzantine, and Islamic, have been found to be present in the Euphrates. But in an unexpected turn of events, a hidden wonder has shown itself to the world beneath the once mighty torrent of the Euphrates River. Iraq's villages were severely short on water due to the worst drought the country had seen in decades. But in the dry period, something amazing was found that had been hidden for more than 3,400 years. It all began when Kurdish authorities chose to empty a section of the reservoir created by the Mosul Dam in order to prevent the crops from withering. They had no idea this choice would lead to revelations beyond anything they could have imagined. In 2018, a drought gave archaeologists a fleeting sight of this underwater city. However, this time, they were determined to seize the chance, and what they discovered was astounding. It is thought that the once submerged city was a significant Matan Empire center. The reign of the Matan Empire lasted from 1500 to 3,500 years before the birth of Christ. The city's history could no longer be kept secret after it revealed itself. We now know that this city competed with Egypt. In the end, the Assyrians overthrew the Matan Empire, and the city was abandoned. The discovery illuminates the ancient world and its connections as Mosul and the reservoir filled. In order to preserve this historical masterpiece, the research team took protective measures. They covered the site with a tarp and graveled it, keeping its secrets hidden from future generations. The truth behind Euphrates drying. The famous Euphrates River, which has been drying up for eons, serves as a metaphor for the complex issues of water management and the fate of the region's civilizations. The great ancient civilization of Babylon started exploiting the Euphrates as a waterway after realizing how important it was to control water flow for its prosperity. The distribution and management of the water resources of the Euphrates River emerged as a crucial issue for the participating states following the Lausanne Treaty. In 1946, Turkey and Iraq reached an agreement laying the foundation for river regulation. However, as we are all aware, human nature often directs us in the direction of our own interests. There is an astounding variation in the water flow downstream due to the dams that Turkey, Syria, and Iraq constructed to use the water for their own purposes. Imagine that the once majestic Euphrates is now only a shadow of its former grandeur. Because of this unsettling fact, upstream regions enjoy economic prosperity and hydroelectric power from their dams, while downstream areas like Iraq are left thirsty and struggling. Conflicts with Iraq emerged as a result of the situation's escalation, and in a desperate attempt to obtain additional water, Syria even threatened to destroy its dam. It was necessary for other nations to step in during such grave times. A crisis was avoided because of Saudi Arabia and the Soviet Union's assistance, but the issues were far from resolved. Without any regard for the fact that water is limited and requires appropriate management, the need for more of it surged. This business's lack of foresight has had disastrous results. The once mighty river, which was visible even from space, now appears to be getting smaller and smaller as a result of the region's ongoing drought, withering crops, and populations fighting to secure access to clean drinking water. The 9 million Syrians who reside along the Euphrates face an existential threat to their way of life because there isn't a viable substitute. The river that formerly provided fertility and life to the region is now a source of conflict. This appears to be the cause of the Euphrates drying up. The ancient cave of Zakiku. As scientists examined the recently found submerged metropolis, suspicions started to grow. Is this really the old center of Zakiku? This vast empire, which spanned more than 600 miles from the Zagros Mountains to the Mediterranean Sea, was a major metropolis and a major force in the area under the Mitanni Empire. However, the Mitannis were at odds with powerful Egyptians who wanted to rule Syria. Pharaoh Thutmose IV negotiated a ceasefire, but the Assyrians' ascendancy assured the destruction of the empire. As their power grew, Zakiku was abandoned and eventually gave up to the ocean's depths. The fascinating cave has captured the interest of archaeologists and historians, and this ancient city is already beginning to re-emerge. This treasure has been hidden for millennia and has just surfaced from the depths, taking us on an unprecedented adventure of secret discovery. Daily life of Zakiku people. In Zakiku, the old city, teams of specialized archaeologists meticulously examine each relic, building, and geological formation. They discover more about this long-lost civilization with every discovery. Their social structure, way of life, and economic methods are all made clear. The tiniest fragments of tools, ceramics, and personal belongings reveal crucial details about the technology, habits, and crafts of those who once flourished in this area. But there's more in this cave than simply relics. Its close proximity to the strong Euphrates River indicates a close connection to the way of life of the prehistoric occupants. The lifeline of an ancient civilization, the Euphrates, was essential as the main source of water for cultivation. An agricultural community flourished due to the abundance of crops provided by productive land and efficient irrigation systems. In addition to boosting the city's economy, this food surplus laid the groundwork for the area's vibrant social and cultural life. The unearthing of pottery vessels with cuneiform tablets from the depths of antiquity acted as a major written document archive, giving us a first-hand look at our ancient ancestors' daily routines. Seal impressions remain on some of the tablets, including one that belonged to Gimel Ninkarik, a prominent figure in the nearby town of Turka. Scholars were inspired to delve more into his life and the late 18th century culture that preceded the birth of Christ by this crucial link, which demonstrated his authority and involvement in the community. When they interpreted these personal writings, a fascinating micro-history of Gimel Ninkarik and his village came to light. These tablets, found in what seemed to be his house, described not only the miseries of the rich, but also those of the impoverished, including a little girl named Guadam. Olivier Roule, the team's epigrapher, diligently examined and published these writings, providing a unique glimpse into the struggles and achievements of ancient Turkey's residents. Tunnels. An unexpected discovery surfaced from the astounding past as the waters subsided. This mystery is the network of tunnels that were formerly submerged beneath the renowned Euphrates River. The old tunnel features well-constructed stairwells. Historians find it quite astounding that such a remarkable structure exists, but who could have constructed such a marvel? Christian prophecy believers think the tunnels lead to the prison where the angels are kept. The majority of individuals, however, think that this is untrue. Upon closer inspection, the historical literature indicates that these fabled tunnels connected the towns of Babylon in Mesopotamia. Its existence was occasionally questioned, but this tunnel's appearance seemed to establish it. We think that when specialists investigate this old find, more historical details that have been hidden will come to light, illuminating some of the mysteries of our past. Robust architecture and exquisite craftsmanship adorn the tunnel's walls, creating images of a vanished civilization. Some historical legends claim these tunnels are connected to the fabled Queen Semiramis. These results confirm what was previously only known from historical documents. The drying of the Euphrates River, however, exposes old puzzles, and we are compelled to travel back in time to make the connections. It's time for the subscriber's choice for today. You are already aware of the caves and tunnels that have surfaced, and the frightful noises that have been heard inside these caves. A cave beneath the Euphrates has been shut down recently due to a natural phenomenon that looks unnatural. Maybe a fish, maybe a reptile, maybe none of these. Its large mouth and lengthy tongue resembling a snake undoubtedly allow it to consume people. Maybe this is what was making the noises, or are there even worse animals hiding in these tunnels and caves just waiting to come out? How do you feel? Languages, scripts, and paintings. Within these sacred chambers, scientists have found writings, inscriptions, and artistic representations that hold the secrets to opening doors to the past. When historians interpret these inscriptions and marvel at the captivating images, we learn first-hand accounts of how people lived in that location. What a journey across time. It feels as though we have personally entered the thoughts and emotions of our forefathers. These remarkable findings not only close important gaps in the research, but also lay a vital basis for further investigations. Every piece of writing, whether it is on intriguing items or cave walls, has a tale to tell. These inscriptions provide the key to a wealth of information about everything from literature and communication to prehistoric intellectual endeavors. Researchers delve deeply into inventory, court rulings, and administrative records to shed light on Zakiku's political and economic structures. But there's still more. By examining these documents, researchers can understand this thriving city's administrative procedures, political structure, and social structure. We'll replicate people's everyday routines, occupations, and complex interrelationships among diverse social groups. Still, more is there. These inscriptions include religious poems and hymns that shed light on the spiritual beliefs, rituals, and customs of the ancient Zakakuyan people. These books give us an in-depth look at the pantheon of deities in the city, their roles, and the cosmological beliefs that shaped the lives of the Zakiku residents. The imaginative pictures in Zakiku Cave offer glimpses into this old city's historical and cultural context. Scenes from everyday life, mythological stories, and historical events are shown in amazing detail in engravings and sculptures. Visual evidence of Zakiku's rich cultural traditions, artistic styles, and symbolic meanings may be seen in these alluring pieces of art. By examining these images, scholars can reconstruct the talented ancient occupants' aesthetics, symbolism, and creative methods. Additionally, investigating this cave offers a window into broader historical occurrences and neighboring societies. Through the artwork in the cave, unknown tales come to light, enhancing our understanding of Zakiku's place in the grand scheme of things, from battles and conflicts to significant historical occurrences that shaped their past. The Fertile Crescent. The Euphrates facilitated the emergence of civilizations, which is why the Fertile Crescent, a well-known phrase, appears in historical accounts. Imagine the Tigris and Euphrates, two great rivers, separated by a broad, level plain. The earliest civilizations emerged in this region of ancient Mesopotamia. The land between the rivers, or Mesopotamia, is a portion of the broader area known as the Fertile Crescent, which stretches from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea. The earliest farming settlements emerged here, setting the stage for the great civilizations that came after. This region was a wonderful gift to Mesopotamia's early people. The neighboring mountains deposited rich soil, known as silt, upon the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The rivers flood every year, covering the Mesopotamian plain with silt. This yearly gift of rich, moist dirt was ideal for crop production and building a flourishing community. Yet there were drawbacks to the river's inundation. Entire communities would be washed away by powerful floods, and the desert outside the rivers would experience intense droughts that would cause plants to wither and die. Despite these challenges, the clever Sumerians, who arrived in Mesopotamia thousands of years ago, used their willpower to conquer this region and transform it into a fruitful agricultural region. You may question, how? Well, they created two groundbreaking farming methods. First, irrigation. During the long, hot, and dry summer months, water was moved from rivers to fields via a network of miles-long canals. This made it possible to produce crops far from the banks of rivers. Second, the Sumerians invented the plow, making the tedious task of sowing seeds fruitful and efficient operation. A food surplus resulted from advances in agricultural technology, which in turn drove population growth. About 3,000 years before the birth of Christ, villages began to grow into towns. The first cities to arise were formidable city-states like Uruk, which had 40,000 inhabitants. These city-states, which lacked metal, wood, and stone but had excellent land, developed into commercial hubs. Through the use of wheeled carts and sailing ships, the adventurous Sumerian traders set out on journeys to far-off places, bartering surplus grain and wool for valuable commodities. Growing in riches and influence, Mesopotamian city-states gave rise to the world's first civilizations. The legacy of Mesopotamia, the cradle of all civilizations, will live on forever. Only because the Euphrates have dried up and provided several clues that point to the Babylonians, can we now piece together the tale of the Fertile Crescent. Babylon was nourished by the Euphrates, who also supplied water to the inhabitants of Babylon by means of crops. Buildings, ceramic vessels, and tablets. Droughts are still a problem for the area, but numerous new archaeological treasures have emerged from the stream's buried depths. The ancient city included some well-preserved buildings as well. Amidst these buildings, historians discovered an industrial complex surrounded by enormous walls and towers. Considering how old the structures were and how long they had been buried, the fact that the walls and towers were comparatively well-maintained makes this find quite astounding. Historians also found a multi-story storage building. The enormous magazine construction seems to be quite significant to the people of that society. Most likely, it was used to store goods from all over the area. What was even more remarkable, though, was the building's preservation. The walls, which look to be constructed of sun-dried mud and are over 3,000 years old, astounded historians. Although they suffered some damage from the earthquakes in the year 1350, which occurred prior to the birth of Christ, they could have been demolished long ago. The structure is solid. However, the upper parts of the walls are partially crumbling. It appears that the lowest parts of the walls would have been shielded from the water by this debris. Impressive discoveries were made at the excavation site. The finding of the 5 pottery jars is the most astounding of the findings. More than 100 cuneiform tablets were also found in these vessels. Some of the tablets were still within their clay envelopes. Seeing such old clay tablets withstand the passage of time so flawlessly is simply amazing. We can learn more about the city's history and its residents' day-to-day lives thanks to these antique tablets. Graves on the lake. When Syria's Euphrates Dam was built in 1968, it flooded numerous ancient sites and brought about both development and loss. However, the past was hidden along the banks of the powerful Euphrates River, keeping a glimmer of the ancient world. As the water levels drop and the lake becomes crystal clear, the submerged cemeteries show themselves like ancient whispers from the past. The area along the Euphrates River contains a hidden gem of Syriac Christian monasteries and innumerable graves. This location, which lies beneath the Euphrates River, is sure to intrigue historians and archaeologists. It is home to a secret cemetery used by early ancient societies. Once underwater, the western district of Raqqa presents an amazing sight. These antique graves contain tales, memories, and sometimes even family secrets from previous generations. Because of this, archaeologists and historians are looking for further archaeological artifacts in the surroundings of these tombs. We shall eventually learn who the real occupants of these graves are. Homo erectus. The Euphrates River has long been considered the crucial barrier separating East from West and has shaped the history of Asia and North Africa via wars, invasions, and the consolidation of power. The river's significance in the distant past, when there is proof of human existence dating back to the early Homo erectus period, is even more fascinating. Imagine discovering relics and the bones of our ancient ancestors while standing on the banks of the Euphrates. The earliest evidence of human presence in modern-day Turkey has been discovered in the form of Julian stone artifacts and the remains of early Homo erectus. A fascinating discovery in Kokabus, western Anatolia, is a fragment of a Homo erectus skull that is thought to be approximately 1.1 million years old. Just the information in this finding provides us with a window into the past, allowing us to see our early ancestors and their voyage across the ages. Not only that, but we are going even further back in time as we find the oldest Paleolithic site at Endorse Yunlu, central Anatolia, which dates to between 0.9 and 0.78 million years ago. Rare early Paleolithic finds have also been discovered in southeast Turkey and Birashik, near the Euphrates Valley. The medium-sized human Homo erectus set the path for the evolution of our species by walking upright. They were different from current humans in that they had the physical characteristics of a low forehead, a large nose, jaws, and palate. They were the first known human species to master the use of fire, a revolutionary development that took place approximately 1 million years ago. As we marvel at these astounding finds, we cannot help but think of our ancient ancestors' lives as they navigated the harsh terrain of prehistoric Turkey, utilizing stone tools to survive and thrive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!